Welcome to another edition of Healthy Living. I'm Aisha Salihu. On today's edition of the program, we'll be talking about hand washing and its fighting power against diseases. Regular hand washing is one of the best ways to remove germs, avoid getting sick, and prevent the spread of germs to others. Whether you're at home, at work, traveling, or out in the community, hand washing with soap and water can protect you and your family. This is a practice that has existed for less than 2 centuries. Let's take a look at the history of hand washing or hand hygiene. Hand washing, also known as hand hygiene, is the act of cleaning one's hands with soap and water to remove viruses, bacteria, and microorganisms, dirt, grease, or other harmful and unwanted substances stuck to the hands. The World Health Organization recommends washing hands for at least 20 seconds before and after certain activities. These include the 5 critical times during the day where washing hands with soap is important to reduce fecal-oral transmission of disease. That is, after using the toilet, after cleaning a child's bottom, before feeding a child, before eating, and before and after preparing food or handling raw meat, fish, or poultry. Hand washing has been a central component of personal hygiene and a religious and cultural custom for many years. However, the link between hand washing and health was first made less than 2 centuries ago. Ignaz Semmelweis, a Hungarian doctor working in Vienna General Hospital, is known as the father of hand hygiene. In 1846, he noticed that the women giving birth in the medical student Dr. Ron maternity ward in his hospital were much more likely to develop a fever and die compared to the women giving birth in the adjacent midwife Ron maternity ward. He decided to investigate, seeking differences between the 2 wards. He noticed that doctors and medical students often visited the maternity ward directly after performing an autopsy. Based on these observations, he developed a theory that those performing autopsies got cadaverous particles on their hands, which they then carried from the autopsy room into the maternity ward. Midwives did not conduct surgery or autopsies, so they were not exposed to these particles. As a result, Semmelweis imposed a new rule mandating hand washing with chlorine for doctors. The rate of death in his maternity ward fell dramatically. This was the first proof that cleansing hands could prevent infection. He died after 2 weeks on 13 August 1865, aged 47, from a gangrenous wound due to an infection on his right hand, which might have been caused by the struggle. The autopsy gave the cause of death as pioneer blood poisoning. Semmelweis was buried in Vienna on 15 August 1865. Now you know the history of hand washing, but are you aware of its relevance and health benefits? Let's go on the streets to hear from people about their practice of hand washing and maintaining hand hygiene.
Hand washing is very important to me because of good health. Most important, if your hands are dirty, just know that your health it's in a bad condition. A good washing of hands make a very, very good health. Just right now, if I can see water presently right now, I will just wash my hand because the hair takes diseases. I've touched the buses. I've entered, so I've shake so many people, and I just have to wash my hand if I see water right now to wash my hands.
The value of hand washing can never be overemphasized. Even the Bible says cleanliness is next to godliness. And coupled with the outbreak of COVID-19 and other related pandemic or epidemics, germs and all of them, hand washing is very important as often as possible, particularly when you interact with people, having handshake with people. At every moment you need to sanitize your hand. Now I use running water, which is, as a microbiologist, running water is more effective than using a water in the bowl. I use running water, then I use any detergent or antiseptic material to make sure I disinfect my hands, so sanitize my hands. So, depending on my interaction with people, or early in the morning I wash my hands. If I go to church after the service, because possibly there will be a handshake or a complimentary exchange, then I will wash my hand. If I want to eat, I wash my hand before I eat. Even if it is water I want to drink, by virtue of touching the glass cup, I'll have to wash my hand.
You need to clean your hand. Then before anything you want to do, you wash your hand. Either you finish eating, you must wash your hand. Then after washing your hand, then you clean up. Then you don't say, yeah, you are free with any effect that's coming to affect you.
Washing of your hands is very, very important. And because in most cases, every day you use your hand. And you use it to touch both what is hygienic and what is not hygienic. So, and you know, and our hand is another straight route to our mouth, which make it very, very delicate if we are very careless the way we use our hand to our mouth. And it's very important that you wash hand. Well, Islamically, I think hygienically on washing of hand, Islam has made it a fundamental for every Muslim, practicing Muslim particularly, to wash their hands severally every day. Whether you want it or not, it's compulsory, you must wash your hand. Because when you are performing your 5 daily prayers, you must wash your hand. Then, apart from that, if you want to do another extra prayer on your own, you have to wash your hand. It's very, very necessary. And we know God have make it hygienically for we Muslims to do that. You understand? And it's very, very compulsory and it's very, very necessary, especially when you want to do your performance in a prayer.
Very relevant. I didn't recognize or realize the importance of hand washing as much as I did after the COVID-19 pandemic. I think the COVID-19 pandemic brought out a lot of revelations to a lot of people to understand the importance and the relevance of it. Before now, we're doing it, but not on this scale. For example, now I wash my hands every other opportunity I get. Wherever I see water and soap, I wash my hands. But most of the time when I'm at home, I use hand sanitizer, or I use what they use in washing in the kitchen, or I use soap in the bathroom. But I try as much as possible to do that as often as I can. And I think I want to advise as many people that have not been washing their hands, that's important, because most of the germs that you contact, they come from lack of washing of hands, because your hands are the first contact. You enter a car, it's your hands you first touch. You enter a bank, you touch the counter, it's your hands. And most of the times, you sit on the chair, it's your hands you first touch. And you don't know who sat there before. So I advise as many as might listen to this, it's very important for us to wash our hands as frequently as we can through the day.
Hand washing is relevant, especially with this recent COVID-19 outbreak. We've been sensitized on the need to wash our hands. As a person, health is wealth. So, and one way to be healthy is if I maintain a healthy hygiene, and which is either through washing of hands and then regular checkup.
Yes, when we want to eat and when we use the restroom, and when you feel like, when you do some things that make your hands dirty, you can wash your hands. But it's not much that you use sanitizer. Me, I always wash my hand anytime, any day. Always with water, ordinary water, or with soap.
It's good to wash your hands first thing in the morning. After eating, you wash your hands. And if you go out, when you come in, you have to make sure you wash your hands and make it to be clean and other things. And at the same time, why it's good for the children to always wash their hands, because of disease and other things. Sometimes, putting hands in the mouth and other things, when the hand is dirty, it's not all that good. Sometimes I use soap and water to wash the hands, which is very important.
We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we'll speak with a physician on the disease-fighting power of hand washing while he guides us through the methods of achieving proper hand washing. Do stay with us.
if you look at the way we live our lives, hand washing is actually supposed to be inculcated into our daily lives. It should be a habit everyone should have. Of course, we've not survived, or we're just coming out of the COVID era, and it was so significant how hand washing was to alleviating the menace of COVID and other infections. You quite agree with me that research work had also shown that 20 to, or even up to 50% of diseases can be prevented, especially intestinal infections and respiratory tract infections can be prevented by just hand washing. For me, in the hospital environment, we share equipments, we share door handles, we go through different offices. Even I'm sure in your workplace, you also touch door handles, you share some equipment you use for your media practices and all of that. And you shake hands with a lot of people you see on a daily basis. It's the same thing with us here also on this end. So, there are some communicable diseases that are passed on from one person to the other. So in a bid to prevent this, this initiative came up back in 2008, and they thought it wise to actually, the Global Hand Washing Partnership thought it wise to introduce this practice in October 2008 in Stockholm in Sweden. And from then, it's taken off, it's kicked off, and it's been helpful in reducing disease transmission a great deal, So I think it's a wonderful one, and it's something each and every one of us should key into, because not everybody knows how to wash their hands. For me, there are a lot of ways to wash your hands actually, and there's been so many videos out there as to how to wash your hands. If you would allow me, I can demonstrate to you or show you. For me, I have 10 steps, effective steps to proper and good hand washing. I'm going to show you how to properly and effectively wash your hands. Like I used to say, there are 10 steps to proper and effective hand washing, which I'm going to demonstrate now. So to wash my hands, I'm going to take my wet coat up a little bit. So the first thing first is to ensure you have a running water, which is very important. So I have a tap here. I'm going to turn the tap open to ensure that I have a running water. Second step is to wet my hands, which is what I'm going to do now. So I wet my 2 hands. And then third step is to fetch soap, which is what I'm doing now. After having fetched your soap, you make sure you rub it thoroughly and firmly to the 2 palms together to ensure that you're cleaning the palmar surface of the hands. So fourth step is to rub against the posterior aspect of the hand, just like this, which is what I'm doing now. And again. Then the fifth step, you rock in between the webs of the fingers, just like this. Because sometimes there are pathogens in between the fingers that you wouldn't see. So the best way to get rid of them is this way. So sixth step, your thumb, just like this. You rub against this thumb, because while you were doing this in the fifth, you missed this out. So on the sixth step, you rub against this. You do the same for the other hand, right? Good. And then the seventh step, you try to get rid of the pathogens in the nail beds. So what you do, you go like this in a hard way, and then you turn, you go like this, the hard way, right? So the next step is the eighth step. After having done all of this, you need to rinse your hand. So we'll go back to the running water. We'll rinse our hands again. You rinse. While rinsing, you make sure you don't, the hands are separate and you wash separately. Now I have rinsed my hands effectively. The next thing to do is to get a towel paper or a tissue paper, which I have handy here. I fetch enough, right? Then I dab around. In some places, they have a warmer. They have a hand warmer or a hand dryer. You can put your hand underneath the dryer to dry before leaving. So I've cleaned or dabbed my hands. They're about almost dry now. And I use the same tissue to close the running water. A lot of people would have turned this tap open. Where pathogens like E. coli thrive the most is wet areas, hand basins and all. You have E. coli thriving around these kind of areas, moist areas like this. So I close my tap back, and then I'm done with my hand washing. Of course, I have to be clean, and I have to maintain a sanitary environment. And then I put this into the bin. And that's all with hand washing. So that's the best way and effective way to wash your hands. You clean thoroughly, apply enough soap, clean in between, ensure you clean the thumbs behind the hand, and then you have a clean hand. Then you can go about whatever you want to do.
Cleaning your hands either with soap and water or by using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer may seem like a small and negligible action, but it is one that can have a significant impact on your health. Hand hygiene is an important lifetime habit for staying healthy. Cleaning your hands not only helps prevent you from catching germs, but from spreading them too, especially to others who may be more susceptible to illness. It is in your own interest to wash your hands properly with water and soap. In an event where soap and water is not available, it is advised that you use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Thanks for staying with us on this edition of the program. Till I come your way on another interesting edition, I'm Aisha Salihu.